It's Wednesday night, and we're live from Oakdale, Washington, in the Educated Touch studio. Welcome to Ethics Outside the Box, with your host, Nathan Nordstrom. Special guests include you. Here he is, Nathan Nordstrom.
Well, hello everyone. It is great to have you with me today for Ethics Outside the Box. We are going to be talking, like usual, ethics and its effect on our daily life and kind of all the wonderful things that happen to us and kind of give us some ideas of where things are at. Looks like I need to turn up the microphone a little bit. Continue recording. There we go. All right, so we're going to be talking today about a couple of different pieces that we don't usually get into when it talks about ethics. We're going to talk about business and ethical business responsibilities. We're doing a little twist around this week. My guest, who was supposed to be with me on Wednesday, we couldn't quite get everything working out together, so I'm going to have MK Brennan next week, and this week it's going to be me solo talking about the ethics of business and kind of the business practices that we're looking at. And then next week we'll talk with MK Brennan about some other business ideas and kind of the concerns about being a massage therapist and how to make sure that we're in check for our behaviors. But just wanted to get in here and say thank you, Christopher Deary, for being here. Hope everyone else is having a great day. Come on in when you get a chance and drop any messages. Today it's going to be me and Facebook Live, and we'll be able to kind of go through some of these different ideas together. But let's share where we find the ethical standards for the National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Body Workers. The NCBTMB's Code of Ethics and Standard of Practice, which are not on Facebook page, but are on the NCBTMB Standards of Practice website, which, if you're looking for them, you can easily find them by going to ncbtmb.org, going all the way to the bottom of the page, looking for standards of practice. And we have gone through most of the standards of practice here already, but we currently are on standard 4. So standard 1 is professionalism. Standard 2 is general legal ethical requirements. Number 3 is confidentiality. Number 4 is business practices. So this is an overarching concept that we all have to be conscious of and kind of connect with. And in number 4, we are talking about L and M. So we're going to start with L and just kind of go through this. If you have anything you want to add, feel free to post a note and we'll talk about it. But letter L is make financial arrangements in advance which are clearly understood by and safeguard the best interest of the client or customer. The first one I really want to point out is the very end of that, the client or the customer. What is the difference between a client and a customer? I'm going to draw it out to one that people don't really like to argue, because a lot of times when people think of their client, they think that's the person who is paying, it's the person who you have to deal with in everything. But if you have a third-party paying system, you've got to be conscious of that. So third-party paying systems can be any number of different models or pieces. The first one that I kind of look at as a third-party paying system is, the easy one, insurance. So you have a third-party paying system of insurance, and the insurance company is investing and connecting with you to make sure that you are paid appropriately. Make sure that you're paid for your time and the expectation there. So if we're talking about specifically making financial arrangements in advance, which are clearly understood by and safeguarded for the best interest of your customer, You have to have a fee schedule. You have to have rules and policies in place so that those payments get taken care of. That is what is reasonable and responsible for a business person to be able to easily say to their customer why they charged a certain amount for, no matter what the experience is, no matter what the challenge is. Your customer is going to be different in that case than your client. Now, I can go a different direction. I had an individual who was raised by a wealthy family, and his trust would pay for his massage therapy. So when you have a condition like that or situation like that, your customer is actually the trust that is paying you. Now, all of that really comes down to the same aspect. The trust is the one paying you, so you have to follow the policies and procedures that are agreed upon by yourself and the trust. If you don't agree with the policies and procedures of the trust, then you don't see the client. Business done, all taken care of. So this making financial arrangements ahead of time in advance is really important, and people don't really think of it as a major business concept. They just kind of, especially massage therapists, well, when I get to the end, I'll tell them what they owe. Really? I don't think I've ever gone to a restaurant where I go in, I look at a menu, they tell me what I want, I tell them what I want to eat, and then at the end they tell me what the price is without any assumption with a cost on the menu. Not being able to tell or justify what your pay scale is or pay schedule is can be really difficult and can be really problematic and can lead to a lot of complaints. So being able to previously be aware and conscious of the prices that are set. I just recently heard from a massage therapist, continuing education provider, who told me that he had someone come in for a continuing education class. In that continuing education class, he had a massage therapist who didn't know that there was a cost associated with the class. And so at the end of the class, he talked about, okay, coming over here and paying for the class so you can get your continuing education. It was uncomfortable at that situation. Now, he did right by her and made sure that she knew and kind of connected with her for her responsibilities and that kind of stuff. And wouldn't have charged her if she didn't want to continue education, but he had taken her time. And so it was something that they definitely needed to work out. But that's one of those pieces where if someone comes in assuming that what you're doing is for free, or assuming that you're going to have a certain rate, they may be right, but they may be wrong. And they may be wrong in a large scale aspect. They may be wrong in overestimating your prices or underestimating your prices. And it's not really fair to let someone just assume that. So it's our responsibility to make sure that everyone knows our prices, knows our price structure, knows how they can pay, where they can pay. I do recall early on in my profession, if you didn't take credit cards, then it was really important to say, hey, I don't take credit cards. And even now, if you don't take credit or debit cards, and you only take cash, or you take cash and checks, there's a lot of people who will have a hard time paying you because they don't ever carry cash with them. They really have checks if they do, but they always have their debit card or their credit card, and they can pay that direction. You know, it's getting more and more of a credit card based business. So if you're not accepting the financial exchange of general public, then you got to be aware of publicizing that. To me, it's kind of like saying, okay, well, I only accepted Bitcoin, and so we can do electronic currency. But if no one does Bitcoin in your market, then you're not really going to be having a great control over the value and a great control over getting people to go in. That's like saying, gosh, I'll work on massage therapy, or I'll teach massage therapists, but I'll only teach massage therapists who don't have arms. You're going to have a very few number of clients or customers who are going to come into a continuing education class, or I'm a massage therapist, but I'm only a massage therapist for people who are 6'1" and above, who are female, and who don't like basketball. Yeah, you'll have customers, but it's going to be a very small clientele. And how do you market to that group anyway? That's a whole different bizarre ball of wax. So being conscious of how you build your business and how you market to the people that you're coming to. Now, looking at how to make sure your client knows and your customer knows, because sometimes they are the same person, but sometimes they're not. Being able to contract with insurance companies. You have to have a previous relationship with the insurance company before you can see the client in most cases. So that's a really important thing to get in contact with and connect with, is to see what those groups are requiring. So I'm saying that from living in the state of Washington, where insurance billing is a regular challenge, and it's something that you do as a massage therapist with a minimal headache. Yes, it's still a headache, but it is a minimal headache. Where in other states, it can't even be a headache because it's not possible. So when you're looking at how you're doing it, you have to then say, hey, what market am I going to be aiming for? How am I going to connect with my possible customers? And how am I going to connect with their potential clients, or my potential clients that are in their book or in their education realm or in their whatever? I've worked at clinics that have had connections with colleges, with sports teams, with many different aspects and connections. So being able to not only reach your customer, which a lot of times is the sports entity, the sports team, or is the university or the college or whatever, and building that relationship then allows you to then go through the whole rest of the process of, once we know what the expectation is for finances, now we can talk to the customer or the client and express to them the value of massage therapy. If you don't deal with the business aspect first, then no matter how well you market, you're never going to be able to work with that client. So it's important to always connect with your business aspect and make sure that the dollar figures are figured out before you can actually push for a better quality. Now, that is something where the franchise world is very strong. They don't just market, come get a massage. They market, come get a massage for this much. Now, and then they usually say for your initial massage appointment, or with this rate you get fill in the blank, or you only get a 30-minute session, or whatever it is that they put in there to make sure that the customer knows that there's a dollar figure. And then they have the conversation about what's the glories, what's the wonders of what massage therapy is and how it works for them. Dealing with customers first to make them clients second. Clients are the people who come to see you. Customers are the ones who pay you. Make sense? I don't know if anybody else has joined me. I got a couple of eyes. Good. Okay. So when you're saying customers and clients, you want to be very, very secure in knowing who you're talking to. But you always want to have those arrangements made ahead of time, especially if it gets more dynamic than just you pay me today, you go away, you come back the next time, you pay me that time. If there's some sort of sale, that can make the water muddy. People will get lost and not be able to figure out exactly, wait a second, I'm going to buy 4, so I get 1 free. Which one's the free one, and where do I get the free one? And are they all the same? Are they different? How do I connect in that way to make sure that that free one actually happened? All these things are really important pieces to connect with, especially when you're looking at customers and doing business, when you're seeing clients and actually paying the books. So we have one more group that I want to make sure that we connect with about who is the customer and who is the client. That is minors, children. A lot of times you will have a child who is the client, but the customer is the parent. The parent is the one paying for the massage, and the parent is the one who is really pushing to make sure that that client gets the best possible experience. How do you make sure that that best possible experience happens? Well, you've got plenty of tools there. You've got the first one of making sure that the parent knows what the pay scale is when the client is coming, when their child is going to be there, making sure that there's an understanding about any added fees, gratuity, tips, anything of that nature. Those are important things to put out front and make sure that it's noted and noticeable of what will be going on. The second one is you want to make sure that the client, the child, knows who the customer is. Minors are notorious for this. If they're like, well, I'm the customer, no, you're the client. And your parent is the customer. So I'm responsible to them to make sure that all viability and financial resources and that I'm meeting the obligation that I have made with your parent or guardian. That's an important distinction. Same thing with insurance. If you have a customer who comes in, and I've seen this one is a little bit odd, a little bit bizarre, but you had two massage therapists in a clinic. One massage therapist, they both had clients from the same insurance company. And when one of the massage therapists saw the other massage therapist's regular client, they looked at the SOAP notes to see the conditions, see what they were working on, and looked at the prescription for massage, and it says one massage a week for 10 weeks, or until pain disappears, until pain is gone. And so they go in, this is session 6, and they say, okay, so how are you feeling? Oh, I haven't had pain since week 2. Okay. The insurance company specifically made a statement, the doctor made a statement that this is how long the insurance company should be expected to pay. The massage therapist should have met that expectation and been able to disclose, okay, here's where the session's at, here's where the sessions are, because it's possible that that massage therapist will not get paid for anything past the time that the pain-free state was measured. It's an important piece to be conscious of how the doctor insurance company client relationship works, because now you still have one customer, which is the insurance company. However, you have a controlman who is the doctor or the treatment plan writer, the author of the treatment plan, and then you have the client. You have the authority figure who's writing the treatment plan, and then you have the customer. It divides out those different pieces. So that's an important piece to have. And if you look at what we're going to be talking about next, general accountability, accepting accounting principles, general accounting principles really do like separation between different aspects of accounting. In the healthcare field, we don't like it because then we have more people to be responsible for and more relationships that we have to connect with. It can be difficult. However, it can also be very beneficial if we connect the right people and the right dots to the right things. Being able to talk with the doctor and the controller to make sure that they know why things have happened or what changes may have come up so that everything can go right. If you're not addressing the controller, the contract obligation, can be changed and you can be held liable. All right, so now that I've talked like around the corner on who the client is and who the customer is and who the controller is, you know what? Not everyone deals with that. Key aspect is making financial arrangements in advance, making sure that your customers know what is expected of them. If you are a facility that accepts gratuity or expects gratuity, and I hope everyone knows the difference. Accepting and expecting are two different things. If you are at a spa and you expect gratuity to make your financial obligation, that is completely different than if you are at a clinic that doesn't have a medical doctor on site and you don't expect it, but it's accepted. Then you have to be even more clear about what the expectation is so that there isn't a positive negative that destroys an expectation or hurts the feelings of a customer or a customer client. That's an important piece. I know I've worked in medical offices, and when I'm working with doctors in whatever setting I'm at, and that could be at the chiropractor's office, that could be in a surgeon's office, that could be in the hospital, it can be in a doctor's office, any type of throat doctor. I mean, it could be anything. You take on the Hippocratic Oath, and the Hippocratic Oath doesn't specifically say thou shalt not receive tips, but it does talk about financial obligation to your client and making sure that there is no bias that is created there. And so that is one of the major pieces where they go through and say, you know what, doctors should not accept gratuity. Pretty standard in the medical field to say, we're going to charge our costs and we expect everyone to pay it who can, but the first thing that our first responsibility is do no harm and to help everyone. So we've got a dynamic that's a little bit different in the massage industry because we do stand in both worlds of the clinical world as well as the service industry. So we have to be happy to accept however we want to create our structure, but we need to make sure our customers know what the expectation is. So people may not like when they see in a spa a tip chart that says, here's what 10% is, here's what 15% is, here's what 20% is. They may not like when someone has a sign out that says, thank you so much for being a customer. We do not accept gratuity. But all of that being said, those signs make sure that the right expectation is there. I think the concern would be, do they know it ahead of time? If they know it ahead of time, then you are good. If they do not know it ahead of time, now you're starting to find that challenge, starting to find those issues. So being able to put that out in plenty of time for notice. All right, so that is standard L. Let me make sure we can get back to that here. And standard L, make financial arrangements in advance which are clearly understood by and safeguard the best interest of the client or the customer. I would actually say the client and the customer, but we'll go by either or in this case, because I think they're trying to more, instead of distinguish the separation, but pull it together and say they can be a client, they can be a customer. Doesn't have to be both, doesn't have to be one. Okay. All right, so the next one is actually a shorter one, and we just kind of want to go through standard 4M, which is follow generally accepted accounting principles. Follow generally accepted accounting principles. I know that sounds pretty darn simple. We can all say, sure, we do. But do you really? And do you know what generally accepted accounting principles are? Well, if you do, that's great. However, I don't know very many massage therapists who went through accounting school, became a certified public accountant, or actually have researched business enough to have an idea of what generally accepted accounting principles are. So I kind of wanted to go through a couple of standard answers. So I searched on Google, what are general accounting principles? So what are generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP or GAAP? Generally accepted accountability principles refer to the common set of accounting principles, standards, and procedures that companies must follow when they compile their financial statements. First question is that very last two words or three words, their financial statements. As a massage therapist, I have seen many massage therapists who are good if they go to the bank regularly to cash their check. And if it's directly deposited, they don't even go to the bank then. So being able to look at this importance of knowing the general financial statements, you have to be able to know how much is coming in and how much is going out. You have to be able to know what your business is making so that you can know what you're making. Because if you don't know what you're making or what your business is making, it usually gets all mushed up and doesn't quite look well. And then business-wise, the IRS steps in and says, wait a second, you don't know how much you're paying yourself? Well, how much did your business make last year? Okay, well, I guess this is probably what did you write off for business expenses? If you don't know what you're writing off for business expenses, you're losing out on a whole bunch of potential balances of your business, so that you can kind of go through and say, okay, here's the important pieces. So I then did a little bit more search, which was just down a little bit more. What are the four principles of GAAP? Basic accounting principles and guidelines. Okay, so we're going to look at these independently. Let's see, let's get to the more items here. Nope, that didn't take me where I was hoping. No, actually it did. Sorry about that. Thanks for being patient with me. All right, so the first really important thing is economic entity assumption. So this is off of Accounting Coach. Let's see, accountingcoach.com, accounting principles explanation. Economic entity assumption. Accounting purposes, they are considered to be two separate entities. It's that last three words. Your business and your person are two separate entities. First basic accounting principle is that your business is your business and your personal income is different. Remember to have a business account that is not fluidly flowing into your personal account. I've made that mistake. It doesn't help. Have your business account and have your payday where you pay yourself. This also means that you have a business savings account and a personal savings account. This is really important when it comes down to gift certificates. If you, during the holiday seasons, have a massive rush on gift certificates, and so you sell 1,000 gift certificates at $60 each, that means you have $60,000. I'm thinking 1,000, 60,000. You have $60,000 came in that 1 to 2 month period of time. Now, for the rest of the year, many of those are going to come in. If you spend that $60,000 all in Christmas and New Year's, then in February or March, when you're actually doing that massage, you won't be being paid for it. You will have expense for doing the massage, like including rent, including your lotion, your oil, your sheets, your laundry. Those expenses are part of that gift certificate that you sold, that income that you made. So if you put it into the business savings account, and then as you do the massage, you can pull out the amount for that massage and pay all of the expenses. Now you're operating in a savings vacuum that holds true to the income and expense barriers. So it's important to remember that you have two separate entities and that you have a savings account and a personal savings account. Not even going to go into the personal savings account. That's a whole different game. Let's not talk about that because we're talking about ethics as a massage therapist. But ethically, if you are not operating your business in a successful way, you're going to fail. And how is that going to affect your clients? They're going to have to find a new massage therapist. It's more work to have a unethical and a massage therapist who's bad at business. So first one is economic entity assumption. So that is that you have two entities, your business and your personal. Monetary unit assumption. Economic activity is measured in US dollars, and only transactions can be expressed in US dollars are recorded. So what are some transactions that are not recorded in US dollars? Trades. Okay, so you go and you get a massage from your friend who's a massage therapist down the way, and then you get a massage from your friend who's just down the way. You know, it's impossible to go by hours and by your camaraderie and the discussion that you had to determine how much each massage was worth. But you know what your massage is worth, and you know what your other massage therapist, what their massage is worth. Making sure that you have a dollar figure and those dollar units set up to understand that. I'm going to go a little bit deeper here because I found myself in a quandary quite a while ago. This was many years ago, where I had a massage student who just graduated from massage school who said, "Nathan, I would love to trade for you. I'd love to trade you and get work and understand more about what you do." Well, I was probably 10 years into practice and they were brand new out of school. And I said, you know what, I don't feel like the monetary amounts or the monetary expenditure for your massage and my massage is equal. I'm charging more than you would be. The expectation is different. And if you're coming in for just a massage, that's different than coming in for an education and a massage. And he totally agreed. So when it looked at what the value was, we figured out what the dollar figure was, and we'd rather do the financial aspect where he pays me and I pay him. That's a definite ability to refine what a trade is valued at. Now, I had another massage colleague when I lived in Jackson, Wyoming. He was an amazing massage therapist. He was a great guy and willing to trade. And in the first massage, I gave him a massage. He gave me $100 bill with our name written on it. And he says, well, all I'd really like is for when we transfer this massage back, when he gets a massage, or when I get a massage, that I give it back to him. And that $100 bill went back and forth several times just to remind us of the value of the massage and to keep the financial aspects, that monetary unit assumption there, so that we always had the dollar understanding of what the value was, one-sided or two-sided. Now, I've given away a lot of massages in assumption or hopes to do a trade in several different ways, in several different times. And sometimes there's a assumption that I'm going to go in and get a massage, and I never do. And that then can become a challenge because then it creates an indebted feeling for that massage therapist at times. So it's important to kind of connect and remind people that there is a monetary unit to your trades. Time period assumption. This accounting principle assumes that it is possible to report that complex and ongoing activities in a business is relatively short. Distinct time intervals such as 5 months ending March 2017 on the 5-week ending March 1st, 2017, or May 1st, 2017. The shorter the time interval, the more likely the need for an accountant to estimate amount of relevant to that period. For example, the property tax bill is received on December 15th of each year. On the income statement of the year ending December 31st, 2016, the amount is known. But for the income statement for the 3 months ending March 31st, 2017, the amount was not known and the estimate had to be used. So when are you actually estimating your expenses, and when are you actually explaining what the total cost is? This, in my mind, is a really important one when we come to setting up a budget. It's harder to set up a budget and say, oh, we know exactly what our expenses are. We know exactly where things are at, and we're going to make sure that we are taking care of our budget first and foremost and live according to it. First of all, a budget is a hope and a dream, and you're striving to meet that. Second state is that your budget has to go off a couple of different assumptions, and assumptions are dangerous. But the assumptions, so the first one is that if you have fixed and variable expenses. Now, by fixed and variable expenses, let's start talking about a fixed expense. Your rent is generally a fixed expense. You're going to pay this much every month, no matter how many clients you see. Now, it's a variable expense. A variable expense is the expense of really your oils, your lotion. If you have less massage clients, you're going to use less of that. Electricity can be considered a variable expense, especially if you use hot stones or you use lights, any electricity at all. If you turn off everything, then your cost is going to go down. Now, it's not going to go down to zero, so there is a fixed expense to keeping your electricity on, but the variable expense is the amount of electricity you use. So when you're talking about fixed and variable expenses, you want to make sure that your expenses are figured out, both based on the fixed expenses, but also the expected variable expenses that you're going to have for that period of time. So you add the fixed, you add the variable, and of what your assumption is for that month, then you're creating a structure that is specifically based off of this time period assumption. The longer you go out, the more problematic or challenging it can be. The reason why I say that is because if you decide that you're going to do a package deal where you have people come in and they pay for 5 massages at a time and they get a 20% discount. That's great. You get money up front, you get that taken care of, it's all good. They come in those 5 times. However, what happens if after the third massage, there's a financial crisis and the dollar inflates or deflates? So the price of the dollar changes. So let's say cost of bread was $1 a loaf, and the next day it was $2 a loaf. That $50 that you had someone pay for a massage should now be $100 because your expenses doubled overnight. So now you have to go by this concept of, I was paid at this time, now I have to live according to it, and I have to be responsible for that entry of data ahead of time. So very important to be able to connect with that and see exactly what's going on. Let me see if I can hit the right button on this. And yeah, there we go. All right. So Markomadian. Okay. Oh, you guys all climbed on here. Hello, Zerlin. Hello, Jennifer. Hello, everybody. Terry, it's good to see you. Hope everything's going well. Markomadian. Linen service. Oh, good one. Yeah, linen service is definitely a variable expense, and it can be a pain in the variable expense butt. But it can also have a fixed rate of you have to pay this much each month just to have us deliver and pick up, even if you aren't using any linens. Okay. Hello all. Okay, Marco Median and Doug and 8 others are watching with you. It's great to see you guys. So cost principles. Why am I going through business, right? This is ethics. But if you're not running your business ethically, you're not going to be in practice for very long. And that is an ethical principle of not consistently being able to be there for your client. So I have to kind of hit into that. If anybody else wants to climb on and say hello, where I hit the right button, and now I can see what you guys have to say. So cost principles. From an accountant's point of view, the term cost refers to the amount spent when an item was originally obtained, whether the purchase happens last year or 3 years ago. For this reason, the amount shown or financial statements are referred as a historical cost amount. Now, let's look at what that actually kind of connects to, and we can actually talk about delayed expense or delayed use, because you can start saying, you bought a massage table. I bought my massage table when I was in massage school. That was several years ago. There's a point where the value of my massage table went to 0. And so writing off the expense of my massage table is not something I can do anymore because I don't need it. I don't use it, or I had to get a new one, and so the old one has truly no value on an accountant's side. A lot of times I also look at the concept of the warranty. So if you have a car and you have a 100,000 mile warranty for 10 years, and you've got all these things going and you've got that all taken care of, that's a great idea. However, you're going to be writing off the expense of that car for that full period of time. It's important to look at your massage items. So if you have a hot towel cabbie in your treatment room, or if you have Stone Age, I have no clue, Terry. So yeah, if you have hot towel cabbie, if you've got other things, computers definitely are a thing that you want to be conscious of. You want to be making sure that your expenses for your computers and the life cycle of your computer, Mac and PC, I'm going to say I agree they're different life cycles, but you've got only a few years of that product until you have to get the new upgrade to keep it fast, depending on how much you're using it, all that other good stuff, and how much you're using for home use. That's a really important piece because that's not really a business expense. Terry was referring to when you got your massage table. Oh, you punk. I mean, yeah, it was pretty close to the Stone Age, Marco and Terry. Started in business. It is true as well. I was a business connoisseur and excited about business when I was really young. So software versus hardware, you always need updates of software. Chris, you are correct. Software can be as expensive as the hardware in some cases, depending on what you're using it for and where you're going and all that other good stuff. So those updates are definitely can be costly. So making sure that when you're looking at your costs, you're not only looking at it as, okay, so I paid money for it right now, but you've got that money invested in that for a period of time. Full disclosure principle is the fifth one. So full disclosure is huge. If you're not looking at what you're sharing, what you're disclosing, the importance of communication, especially in the financial world, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Even more Microsoft blah. Yes, so true. Microsoft blah. All right, and I have two Microsoft computers, Microsoft and Mac and PC. Yeah, I'm done. So full disclosure really comes down to making sure that you have footnotes for where those expenses are going, why they're coming out. A company usually lists its significant accounting policies at the first note in its financial statement. Also, when you have a client and you are going to charge a different rate, you must have financial disclosure. You have to disclose those rates that are out there. If you have a client who comes in and there are some other extenuating circumstances, if you are charging more because you took a special class and you're doing a specific condition or technique, you have to disclose that ahead of time. If you are looking at any specific tools that you're using, if you use a specific lotion, I know right now CBD massage is going through the roof, and it's one of those things that people are so excited about. However, if you're charging the same price for a standard massage as you are for a massage where you're using CBD creams, lotions, or oils, you're probably going broke pretty quick. I know several of my friends, a couple that are probably on here right now, who look at CBD and THC and kind of looking at anybody who doesn't know, that's hemp and marijuana, and using those in your oils. The expense for those lotions and oils are quite a bit more than you would be paying for your massage lotion. Unless, of course, you grow it yourself and then you have your time and that investment, and that's a whole different game. But the importance of looking at the expense and disclosing that if someone's saying, hey, I've got this neck pain, you don't just get to go and put your special cream on it and then say, oh, hey, I put this special cream on that and special cream on that, so it's going to be another $40. You got to disclose that ahead of time. You have to be looking at those principles of full disclosure principles, full disclosure of all expenses, and what your own bias is. All right. Going concern principle is the number 6. I'm wondering if anyone's going to pop up on the hemp CBD THC conversation, because that seems to be a pretty big hot button right now. And for those who actually do use CBD, there's an amazing amount of research going into it, and interest and really driving force behind it that really can change what we kind of think of for the idea of what a product can do. So really impressive. I'm actually doing it for doing research for a company right now on that principle. So pretty fun to figure out how the cannabinoidal system really works and what that effect looks like. So going concern principle is number 6. This accounting principle assumes that the company will continue to exist long enough to carry out all objective and commitments and will not liquidate from the foreseeable future. This is huge. If you sell gift certificates, it is amazing to know that you are making money ahead of time, that you're going to have expenses later. You do not expect to go out of business before you can pay those back. You can use the services that they have paid for. You can be found liable for fraudulent behavior if you take a large sum of money or you sell a huge number of gift certificates and then you close your doors on January 1st, you can be held responsible to give that money back. Marco says it's amazing for people who it works for. Absolutely. That is another amazing piece to be thinking about. And I'm going to go back just because I can. Congratulations. You're watching my show. The importance of remembering what you're paying for. A lot of CBD lotions and creams, full spectrum, have menthol in them or have a mint that is kind of connected to it that creates a analgesic, therapeutic, theragesic type response. And so a lot of people will take a lotion, a cream, an oil, and they'll put it on their ache or pain, and they'll go, oh, wow, that CBD is working really well. Well, what they're actually feeling is the menthol. They're feeling that cooling sensation, the quick release response. CBD actually has a delayed response and actually reduces the inflammation response according to research. So that delayed response is an important piece to be conscious of. But if you're taking a CBD cream, oil, lotion, and thinking that you're going to get a quick response, that's not what they're seeing right now for most cases. Until they come up with some more research, which there's a lot to do. I think I've laughed that massage therapy has been in the dark ages of research for so long, and now we're seeing so much research for massage therapy. But now CBD is trying to get through university trials to kind of get that to go through, and a lot of the legal aspects are the things that are holding it back. Marco says, legal in Oregon for those out there. How I know it doesn't use I don't use it myself as I am allergic to THC significant and trying to figure out whether or not I can use CBD oils without jeopardizing my own jeopardizing my own response. They do have, Marco, a product that they call isolate. And so chemically they go through and they isolate the CBD and pull that out. You would have to be very confident in the company that you'd use that isolates the CBD and make sure that it's at a true 0 for THC. But it is out there, and I know that they are working, they have been working on that for years. But yeah, so that is true. And yes, it is legal in Ohio as well. Thank you, Jennifer. CBD, side note, Washington State, where I'm from, is a real big proponent of marijuana, and has a lot of things like Colorado and Oregon. However, hemp is not legal for consumption of humans. So even though marijuana is legal and you can use it for discretionary purposes, hemp and any hemp-based products are not. So I just found that out just recently, and I was very shocked to see that. So that will change the way that things are looked at as things become legal in different aspects. But it goes back to that financial responsibility. I'm going to loop all the way back around to what I was talking about at the beginning. And that was that if you have a massage practice and you're using something and you go to massage and you give them a massage with your oil that it's 5 cents for a massage, or you give them a massage with CBD oil or THC CBD oil or some sort of combination, then that oil is probably going to be several bucks for a full body massage. So your expenses are going to change according to that. So the going concept principle the previous one that we were talking about with that was the full disclosure principle, making sure that you're disclosing your expenses and the costs that are there, and you can't charge them more than they were signed up for. So the going principle of concern is that you do exist after you charge for the gift certificate, charge for the service. You actually can not liquidize your assets and keep going there. The matching principle, the accounting principle requires companies to use the accrual basic of accounting. Matching principle requires and expenses to match with revenue. So it's important that you're not only taking in money and saying, hey, I'm making money, but making money, matching it up with the expenses, including paying yourself, because I hate to say it, but you're your own expense. You're an expense on your business account. You should not only pay yourself, but look at yourself as a drain of your own business assets. Your business can be a millionaire and you can be middle class. You can be a millionaire and have a broke business. It's better to have a good balance structure and paying yourself out at different rates, so you're not having one get rich and the other one stay poor. There are several other principles. Actually, we're going to go over one more. And revenue recognition principle. So when do you actually look at revenue as a thing? And that is when it's realized gains. So making sure that anything that is not a revenue base, it is an assessment. So realized gains would be you're investing and your portfolio's making money. Hopefully it should be if you're doing it right. And then when you realize those gains or bring them out, that's when that money really comes in. Wait, we just paid. We get paid. Okay, hold on, Marco. Christopher, effective research will not be possible until cannabis is moved out of Schedule 1. Yes, that is absolutely correct, Chris. Absorption into the hands of the practitioners. Is CBD possible without THC? Is it ethical to use any topical on a client disclosure or not? Would that be yes, prescribing a treatment? You know, it is interesting to kind of look at that, because depending on the state that you live in, if cannabis as a category is still in the prescription-based world, then you can be accused of prescribing and giving a medication. If it is not, if it is recreational, then it's a recreational tool that you're using. However, your state licensing board also needs to talk about that and confirm what their stance is. Most states don't want to touch it. The massage therapy boards want to say, you know what, if someone wants to rub someone with a rock, then they can rub someone with a rock. If they want to do it with oils that are legal, then they can do it with oils that are legal. It is an important thing to be looking at that. And so the prescribing versus treating is definitely there. Thanks, Marco. Yes, you should be paying yourself sometime, some way, somehow. Yes, so definitely be looking at how you look there. Revenue recreation principle, it is important to make sure that you're making enough money to keep your practice, to keep yourself alive, pay your expenses, and then keep your business doors open. Because I don't know how many massage therapists don't know this, but for some odd reason, there's this period of time where you suffer a lull. In different cities, it's different. Usually in cities that are in a highly volatile community, if you are a resort town, during resort season, you may have a high schedule or a low schedule. Depends on who you're working on. If you're working on the people who are coming on for vacation, you may have all of your business during that summer or during that winter. Jackson, Wyoming, I lived there for a year or so. And it was interesting because the summer months, we had a high tourism, and the winter months, we had high tourism. Spring and fall were our very quiet months. And so being able to remember that you're not only paying yourself for the month that you're in, but some of that money needs to go into the business savings, so that as you get to the quiet months, the months where you don't have a full book, you can actually pay yourself for the other things that you should be doing. Making sure that those finances go all the way around. So Terry, I think THC is what is Schedule 1. CBD oils do not have THC in them. Not all of them. Most cannabis-based products have 3% or less of THC. So there is still some THC in them, but it's usually minimal unless it's an isolate, and then that's the chemical process where they separate it out. And according to the federal government, until the Farm Bill passes, if the Farm Bill passes, it should, we hope, who knows, whatever, there is a statement about hemp in the Farm Bill going to the federal government right now about the use of CBD. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. So most CBD oils do have some THC. That's part of the challenge. Yes, that is true. Replying to Terry Hirth, debatable, Terry. The research available is not unbiased. Are we ever completely unbiased, Chris? That's like asking massage therapists if massage therapy works. Right? Of course it works. It works for every one of our clients who comes back to us because they love our massage. You know, it's a lot of fun to talk to you guys. Hope everything goes well for you guys. If you need anything, you know my email address, you know my phone numbers. I'm always willing to chat online, offline, whatever it is that I can do to help you guys out. But thank you for for joining me with this business discussion of ethics. Yes, it doesn't feel like a ethics discussion, but once again, if you're not taking care of your business, it's going to be really hard to make sure that your business is successful. And then it's going to be hard to be ethical, because a lot of ethics comes from, well, I'm going to put off my ethical obligation because I want to be able to do, I need this money more. And so I'm going to skimp on my ethical standards. That's never helpful for you or your clients. Appreciate your time. If hold on. Yes, sir. Agreed. Once Monsanto starts making oils, they will allow, yes, Monsanto's, thank you for that statement. Thank you, Nathan. We appreciate you, buddy. Not a problem at all.
The hour has flown by. We hope you've enjoyed this discussion with Ethics Outside the Box. As you've seen, Nathan uses many second-hand stories of ethical situations. If you'd like to share your story or you have any questions, feel free to contact him at nathan@educatedtouch.com. If you have just watched this video and would like to continue in education for home study, you can go to shop.educatedtouch.com under the home study options with the date or episode number to receive your exam. If you would please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we will keep you up to date on new videos. If you'd like to attend one of our live courses, you can find upcoming scheduled events at www.educatedtouch.com. Thank you for joining us today.